Hello there, very good evening and welcome to the News at 6 where we get you the day's top developing stories. Let's start with the headlines. Union Cabinet approves introduction of bill to grant retrospective recognition to central, state and union territory universities. Recognition will be a one-time measure to safeguard interests of students. Markets rejoice over India's significant jump in the World Bank's ease of doing business list. Both the Sensex and Nifty soar to record closing highs. India appreciates Bhutan's role on the recent standoff over Doklam with China. President Ramnath Kovind says the manner in which it stood with India is a clear testimony of the friendship between the two nations. And terror attack in New York kills 8 people and leaves dozens of people injured. Suspect was a 29-year-old Uzbek national who drove a rented truck that mowed down people on a cycle path in Lower Manhattan. The top story this evening, the Union Cabinet, chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, gave its approval for introduction of a bill in Parliament to amend the National Council for Teachers Education Act 1993. Also, the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs took some important decisions. Here are the details. A bill seeking to grant retrospective recognition to central, state and union territory universities conducting teacher education courses without recognition has been given the green nod for introduction in Parliament by the Union Cabinet. The recognition is being given as a one-time measure to ensure that the future of the students is not jeopardized. Meanwhile, the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs accorded approval for implementation of special banking arrangement for 10,000 crore rupees for payment of outstanding claims on account of fertilizer subsidies in the year 2016-17. It also approved the continuation of the Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana for 3 years till 2020. The financial allocation of this scheme will be 15,722 crore rupees with the objective of making farming as a remunerative economic activity by risk mitigation and promoting agri-business entrepreneurship. The Cabinet also approved revised price of ethanol for the public sector oil marketing companies. The approval will facilitate the continued policy of the government in providing price stability and remunerative prices for ethanol suppliers. It will also help in reducing dependency on crude oil imports, saving in foreign exchange and benefits to the environment.
The Union Cabinet also approved trade agreement between India and Ethiopia for strengthening and promoting trade and economic ties. Approval was also accorded for agreement between India and Armenia for mutual cooperation and assistance in custom matters. Reporting from Delhi with camera person Prashanta, I'm Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
In other news, India praised Bhutan's role on the recent Doklam conflict with China. President Ramnath Kovind, who met Bhutan King Jigme Khesar Namgyal Wangchuk in Delhi on Wednesday, said that the manner in which both India and Bhutan stood together during the Doklam crisis is a clear testimony to our friendship. The Bhutan King is on a 4-day visit to India for consultations on security, defense and economic issues. The royal couple met President Ramnath Kovind at Rashtrapati Bhavan. Both the leaders then discussed the recent happenings on the India-China border and the future course of relationship between the two countries. The Bhutanese king was also personally involved in resolving issues emanating during Doklam situation. The king, who met Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj, is elated to meet Prime Minister Narendra Modi later today. He is scheduled to meet Finance Minister Arun Jaitley and Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Thursday. Singaporean Foreign Minister Vivian Balakrishnan met Assam Chief Minister Sarbanand Sonowal in Guwahati today. Balakrishnan, who is on a 2-day trip to India, witnessed the signing of 3 agreements on the launching of Northeast Skills Centre and developing an open space and park integrator network in Guwahati. The Skill Development Centre will be set up with Singapore's assistance. In a tweet, Balakrishnan said that Singapore will continue to India's development and its Act East initiative that seeks closer cooperation between India and Southeast Asia. Balakrishnan also had a discussion with BJP National General Secretary Ram Madhav. And on Tuesday, Balakrishnan had held talks with External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj. Both the leaders had discussed ways to boost bilateral cooperation in key sectors like defense, security and trade. Barred by India's significant jump in World Bank's ease of doing business list, markets soared to a record high today with both the Sensex and Nifty ending at record closing highs. Benchmark BSE Sensex zoomed over 387 points to close at a fresh lifetime high of 33,600. The broader 50-issue NSE Nifty breached the 10,450 mark for the first time to hit a new intraday peak at 10,451 by gaining nearly 68 points. 8 core sectors growing to a 6-month high of 5.2% in September, and positive leads from global markets accelerated the buying pace that lifted key indices to new highs. The market rally was driven by strong buying in telecom, banking, realty, metal, FMCG and PSU counters. India went up by 30 notches to 100 on the World Bank ranking released on Tuesday. And now to the election buzz from Himachal Pradesh. Campaigning in the state intensified with top BJP leaders raising their poll pitch key constituencies. BJP President Amit Shah addressed a rally in Mandi on Wednesday where he targeted the ruling Congress in the state, exuding confidence that the BJP will win the hill state. Amit Shah said that Himachal Pradesh would witness not a wave but a BJP tsunami.
हिमाचल वासियों को हंस रहे हो मैं इतना कहता हूं वो
Mr. Rajnath Singh too campaigned in Bal constituency of Mandi district. Addressing a public rally, he exhorted that tainted political leaders must resign from their posts, adding that they should not accept any post till they are absolved from all the charges.
पहाड़ियों पर, मकानों पर, चौकियों पर जो भाई बहन खड़े हैं उनको देखकर कहता हूं, और इस बार मैं हिमाचल वासियों को हंस रहे हो मैं इतना कहता हूं वो मोदी जी ने तय किया है मैं छोड़कर गए थे आप ऐसा भारत छोड़कर गए.
All right, significant speeches coming in from both the leaders, of course, of the BJP. A day after Prem Kumar Dhumal, in fact, was announced as his chief ministerial candidate. Meanwhile, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi played down India's steep promotion in the World Bank rankings on the ease of doing business by saying everyone knows the truth. Here's a report on his campaign in poll-bound Gujarat.
Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi began the third leg of his Navsarjan Yatra on Wednesday. While addressing a public rally in Bharuch, Rahul Gandhi criticized the latest ease of doing business ranking released by the World Bank on Tuesday. He claimed that there wasn't any ease in doing business as demonetization and GST had destroyed the economy.
हिंदुस्तान में ease of doing business में बहुत improvement आया है, मगर अगर जेटली जी अपने ऑफिस से 5 मिनट बाहर जाएं और यहाँ किसी दुकानदार के पास चले जाएं या किसी छोटे व्यापारी के पास चले जाएं, स्मॉल एंड मीडियम बिजनेस के पास चले जाएं, तो उनको समझ में आ जाएगी हिंदुस्तान में ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस इंप्रूव हुई.
Rahul Gandhi is also confident that the ruling party, the BJP, will get a jolt on election day. He also criticized the Gujarat bundle of development, saying the government could have waived off farmers' loans instead of funding the Tata Nano project.
टाटा नैनो के लिए नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने 33,000 करोड़ रुपए बैंक लोन दिया और वो भी तकरीबन फ्री में, बिल्कुल कम से कम रेट में. आपकी जमीन ली, टाटा कंपनी को दी. 33,000 करोड़ रुपए में गुजरात के किसानों का कर्जा माफ किया जा सकता है. गरीबों से जमीन लो, बिजली लो, पानी लो, उद्योगपतियों को दो, और फिर पतियों से कुछ मिलता नहीं। यह है गुजरात मॉडल नरेंद्र मोदी जी का, चीफ मिनिस्टर गुजरात।
The Congress party is hoping to corner the BJP in the upcoming assembly polls in Prime Minister Narendra Modi's home state, where the BJP has ruled for nearly 15 years. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And the Congress, of course, fighting there in Gujarat, and a key fight also ahead in Himachal Pradesh. And today, the party released its manifesto on Wednesday. Some of the promises made by the party include interest-free loans to farmers and creation of 1,50,000 jobs in the government sector, and also free laptops to 50,000 college students. The party also promised to restore the pre-2004 pension scheme, regularize contractual employees after 2 years, enhance daily wages and social security pension, as well as appointing an anti-corruption grievances commissioner. Decentralization of administrative and financial powers down to panchayat levels, as well as continuation of food subsidy scheme to control price rise, are some of the other promises that find mention in the Congress manifesto. Now, the manifesto was released by Chief Minister Veerbhadra Singh and State Health Minister Kol Singh Thakur and AICC General Secretary Sushil Kumar Shinde. The party claimed that it had fulfilled 95% of the promises made ahead of the previous election. Veerbhadra Singh also said that if voted to power, his government would fully implement the remaining promises as well as the new ones.
हमारा जो मैनिफेस्टो है वो बहुत आगे है, हर चीज़ में आगे है। वो जनता के हक में है, सरकारी कर्मचारियों के हक में है, किसानों के हक में है, मजदूरों के हक में है, और प्रदेश को हर दिशा में आगे ले जाने के लिए और विकास की को आगे बढ़ाने का एक संकल्प है।
हमने जो प्रॉमिसेस किए हैं पिछले 5 साल में जो हमने काम किया है उसको देखते हुए अगला एक और ज़्यादा लोग की सेवा करने के लिए जो ज़्यादा उसमें स्कीमें बताई है, नए नए युवकों के लिए रास्ता बताया, पेंशनरों के लिए बताया है, सैनिकों के लिए बताया है। तो इस तरह से ये राज्य और भी विजय की ओर चला है।
In other news now, Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman inaugurated the Goa Maritime Conclave 2017 on Wednesday. Speaking on the occasion, the Defence Minister voiced concern over increased militarization and extra-regional nations maintaining a near-permanent presence in the Indian Ocean region. She said this kind of militarization increases complexities for the countries in the region. Without naming any specific country, Sitharaman also expressed concern over the emergence of non-state actors in the region.
Increased militarization. This phenomenon has manifested in 2 interconnected forms in the region. The first is as incremental yet steady increase in numbers of warships operating in this region. We have also witnessed extra-regional nations maintain a near-permanent presence within the region on one pretext or the other. In order to sustain such a presence through operational turnarounds, these countries, which are extra-regional, are creating naval outposts as well as dual-use infrastructure in the region. This sort of militarization increases the complexities for countries of this region.
The first of its kind, the Goa Maritime Conclave is aimed to address the maritime challenges in the region. It was attended by naval chiefs and heads of maritime security agencies from 10 countries, including Bangladesh, Indonesia, Maldives, Malaysia, Mauritius, Myanmar, Seychelles, Singapore, Sri Lanka and Thailand. In more national news, the CBI has filed its charge sheet in the Vyapam scam, giving a clean chit to Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan. The charge sheet has been filed against 490 people in the Court of Special Judge in Bhopal. The accused include 3 Vyapam officials. The agency has said that there is no truth in the allegations that the data files seized by the Madhya Pradesh police from the accused have been tampered with. The CBI said that a detailed forensic analysis showed that there was no mention of the word CM in the hard drives recovered. The case pertains to wrongdoing in the 2013 pre-medical tests in Madhya Pradesh. The CBI alleged that racketeers arranged solvers for MBBS aspirants. Congress leader Digvijay Singh and whistleblower Prashant Pandey had alleged that data files found from the accused in the case were tampered.
लेकिन आरोपों में तथ्य होने चाहिए, केवल किसी को बदनाम करना है। मैदान में अगर मुकाबला नहीं कर पा रहे तो आरोपों की झड़ी लगा के छवि धूमिल करने का प्रयास करें, ये उचित नहीं है। और अंततः जो सत्य होता है वही प्रकट होता है।
कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने सीएम को क्लीन चिट दी, तो एक घोटाले में कितनी बार क्लीन चिट मिलेगी? किसी भी अदालत ने, जिसमें भोपाल की अदालत भी शामिल है, और व्यापम घोटाले को लेकर कई अदालतों में जो जिलों में प्रकरण चल रहे हैं, जब छोटी अदालतों ने मुख्यमंत्री को क्लीन चिट नहीं दी तो सीबीआई क्लीन चिट देने वाली कौन?
And here's a look at what else is making news across the country in Nationwide. The price of non-subsidized cooking gas LPG has been increased by 93 rupees per cylinder from today. It will now cost 742 rupees in Delhi as against 649 previously. 759 rupees 50 paise in Kolkata, 718 rupees 50 paise in Mumbai and 750 rupees in Chennai. The price of subsidized LPG has also been increased by around 4 rupees 50 paise per cylinder. The Enforcement Directorate today arrested Gagan Dhawan from Delhi in a case involving bank fraud of over 5,000 crore rupees by Sandesh Sara Group. It is alleged that Gagan Dhawan has laundered money through his companies based in Ethiopia and some other countries. Dhawan is a close aide to former CBI Director Ranjit Sinha, who is accused of scuttling and influencing the probe into the coal block allocation cases by meeting the accused persons. At least 4 persons have been killed and 100 injured after a boiler blast in a state-run NTPC power plant in Raebareli in Uttar Pradesh. The number of dead and injured could rise as most of the injured have suffered burns. Reports say a boiler burst in the power generating unit in the plant, which is nearly 30 years old. The plant, with 5 units of 210 megawatts each, started generating power in 1988. Meanwhile, the toll in the transformer explosion in Rajasthan's Khatoli village rose to 14 on Wednesday. Medical superintendent of SMS hospital in Jaipur said that 9 people who had sustained severe burn injuries succumbed while undergoing treatment at the hospital late last night. Rajasthan Chief Minister Vasundhara Raje has ordered a high-level probe into the incident. A quick break here. Up next, we'll get you the top international stories.
Hello and welcome to Security Scan. Gophers ghost continue to haunt the Indian Armed Forces, especially Indian Army.
We don't have the defense industrial base. We have never let it grow, never let it develop.
DRDO, to my mind, and I'm sorry to say this, has been unmitigated failure on almost all aspects.
Watch experts discuss Indian Army's modernization plan in Security Scan on Rajya Sabha television.
The sacred relics of Buddha were unearthed in Piprava in Uttar Pradesh. Buddhist monks from all over the world visit the National Museum to pay their respects. These charred bone fragments of Buddha are housed in the gold canopy gifted by the royal family of Thailand.
Welcome back. Let's get to the top international story. And at least 8 people were killed and 11 others injured when a gunman in a truck plowed through a busy bicycle path near the World Trade Center Memorial in Lower Manhattan area, New York City. The suspect has been arrested. President Donald Trump has ordered more robust, extreme vetting of travelers coming into the U.S. The attack is being dubbed as the worst in New York since 9/11.
In one of the deadliest terror attacks since the 9/11 strike, 8 people were killed and dozens injured in a truck attack in New York on Tuesday. The incident took place when a 29-year-old man in a rented truck mowed on people on a cycle path in Lower Manhattan. The truck also crashed into a school bus, injuring 2 children.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
5 people from Argentina who were celebrating a high school reunion were also killed. Suspect Seyfullo Saipo, who was an Uzbek immigrant, was shot and injured by police as he left the vehicle. A paintball gun and a pellet gun were recovered from the scene. A note was also reportedly found inside referring to the Islamic State militant group.
We saw the guy, we saw the car, and it was like surrounded by rubble, and we saw like this. Yeah, we saw the guy. He looked like he was wearing like dark color, and I think he had a beard, but he was holding 2 guns, so it was a little scary. And yeah, we were just wondering like, hey, who's that guy? And we were just told to run in. We were getting really freaked out.
I don't know. We've been through 9/11, so I mean, but now this truck thing and the cars, using cars against people. I mean, I walk up that road every day, you know, to go to wherever, and it's, I mean, you just have to be very, very careful and vigilant all the time.
After the collision, the driver of the truck, a 29-year-old male, exited the vehicle brandishing 2 handguns. A uniformed police officer assigned to the 1st Precinct confronted the subject and shot him in the abdomen. The subject was wounded and transported to a local hospital. A paintball gun and a pellet gun were recovered at the scene.
US President Donald Trump ordered the Department of Homeland Security to step up vetting measures after the attack. In a series of tweets, he said that the attack was engineered by a very sick and deranged person. Meanwhile, the Federal Bureau of Investigation joined the New York City Police Department in the investigations.
This was an act of terror, and a particularly cowardly act of terror aimed at innocent civilians, aimed at people going about their lives who had no idea of what was about to hit them.
The attack took place hours before an annual Halloween parade was to take place in Lower Manhattan. That would be packed with thousands of people in costumes. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Meanwhile, Spain's top criminal court has summoned Catalonia's ex-president Carles Puigdemont for questioning. The summons came hours after Puigdemont appeared in Brussels, insisting he remained the legitimate president of a region now under Madrid's direct rule. The National Audience in Madrid, which deals with major criminal cases, summoned Puigdemont and 13 other former members of his administration to appear on Thursday and Friday. They will then be placed under formal investigation. Spain's chief prosecutor said already that the charges of rebellion, sedition and misuse of public funds have been sought against the Catalan leaders, with rebellion punishable by up to 30 years in prison. 54-year-old Puigdemont, who went to Belgium, has said that he would return only if he has the guarantee that legal proceedings would be impartial. However, if Puigdemont fails to appear in court as requested, Spanish prosecutors could order his arrest. We'll keep an eye out on developments there and hear more updates from across the world in Global Buzz. Japan's parliament formally re-elected Shinzo Abe as Prime Minister on Wednesday after his party's crushing election victory. MPs voted by a huge majority to reinstall Abe after his conservative Liberal Democratic Party swept to 2/3 majority on the 22nd of October. In the 465-seat lower house, Abe won 312 votes from the conservative ruling bloc. In the 242-seat upper house, Abe won a majority of 151 votes. 63-year-old Abe has now become the country's longest-serving premier. Chinese President Xi Jinping met Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev in Beijing on Wednesday. President Xi stressed China's firm commitment to developing and deepening relations with Russia. Had also met Chinese Premier Li Keqiang at the Great Hall of the People. The two leaders witnessed the signing of over a dozen agreements relating to agriculture, finance, energy and customs. Medvedev is the first foreign leader to visit China after the 19th National Congress of the Communist Party of China that concluded last week. Kenya's opposition has refused to accept the result of the repeat presidential election that handed victory to President Uhuru Kenyatta on the 26th of October. National Super Alliance leader Raila Odinga said in Nairobi on Wednesday that the repeat polls were not independent, fair and democratic and did not accord with the constitution. The opposition will continue to hold peaceful protests and express political appeals across the country. That's it on the news at 6. Thanks so much for joining us. Coming up next is The Big Picture.